Hello, hello. This is Mark from Muddy River Clay. And today I have a really fun project for you. I got this template online to make this vase that has this hole, which I think is just pretty cool. And then, of course, I like to put a face on things. So that's what that guy looks like. So I want to give credit to where I found this. There is a company online that's called the Pottery Wheel, and you can sign up for their newsletter, or you can just go ahead and go onto their Etsy site and purchase this template. And that's what I did. So you purchase a template on Etsy and then you cut it up. And for time, I've already done that. So this is what the template looks like. So there's a couple pieces that you have to tape together. So this is the front and back. And then there's a piece for the hole that goes in the middle. So what you do is when you're building the piece, inside is the rounded piece. And then you get from that. And then there's a piece for the bottom. So it's one of those things, I could have never thought of this, and I love it when people make templates because I don't have the brain for that, but it's kind of simple, right? Put a couple pieces together, join them, and then you get this vase. So let's jump into it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm already having ideas of what else. I could do this. I could do figures on the side. I could do one big cyclops eye. I could make this one of the eyes and have the mouth down here. So I was looking for some new inspiration for 2026 and I found it. So we're going to jump right into it and I bring you down here. Got some slabs of clay already rolled out, just to save some time. And then I'm going to take a pin tool and just cut around them. So I'm going to make the front. The other thing I was thinking too, and this is where I love templates. So thank you to, the Pottery Wheel for creating this because it's just kind of kickstarts inspiration. I was thinking, right now they've got this hole here in the center, but what if I move it? What if it went off to the side? So templates are really a wonderful way to kickstart your ideas and then take them to the next level. So there's the first template. It's like a bowling ball and then made a little bit less cutting. But I always feel like when I do a new template, I learn new things as I do it. So I, create it and then step back, say, oh, I could have done this or should have made copies, and that's part of the learning process. And you can see this really does go rather quickly. So got that piece, I set that aside. I have one of the bottom pieces to do. I'm just finding a space for that. And then the last thing that I need to cut out is what will go on the sides. So these are the actual sides of the vase. And what's nice about a template is someone has already done the math and they've already figured out exactly how long it should be. And I love that. Then I don't have to do that. So we'll cut this. If you can hear the dogs in the background, they're getting water. Hopefully that won't come across in the video. All right. So next we're going to put the pieces together. So what I've got laid out is, I'll call it the bottom piece, and I'll bring you down here so you can see that. So I've got the bottom piece, and then I want to attach it to a side piece, and that's going to give the strength to hold up the top piece. Now, I do roll out my slabs with some texture inside. It makes sure to compress the clay, but it also gives me some grooves. So I can add a little bit of slip here, and then I've already got some scored edges there. All right, so now I'm going to place this on the inside. So I've got one of my side pieces and I'm going to place it along the side. And then the one thing that you've got to be careful with templates is changing the shape. So you can see as I start to put that on, I have to be really careful if I want to keep that shape. And also you can make some design choices here as well. So do I want it to be more curved on the edges, or do I want to change the shape, or am I really conscientious of keeping that the same size? The other thing that you could do is you could take a coil and reinforce that seam. Now there's people who have really specific thoughts on this and I appreciate that, but it's really just kind of choosing what's right for you. I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to run a seam in there. And it does give me a little bit more coverage. You can see I spent a little bit more time putting it together. So I've got the seam together and then I'm coming over it with the coil or two. You won't be able to do this on the other side, meaning once I put this bottom on and get the top, I won't be able to do the other side that way. So that is something to consider. It does add a little bit more weight, the more clay that we're adding. So there's just a lot of factors in here. But as you're putting this together, if it's the first time using your template, think about the functionality. So is this going to be a functional vase? Then yeah, I don't want it to leak. So do everything that you can to make sure those seams are joined on the inside and the outside. And then if you've got good joints and seams, when the glaze goes on, it'll fill in and That's how you have a waterproof vase or vase. Okay, so I've got the inside. I want to do the same to the outside, and I can't do that towards the camera, so I'm going to do that towards myself. And again, thinking about the shape at this point, how do I want to change it? Do I want to keep it the same? So for the most part, we'll keep it the same, and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to add a little bit of slip or water. When you're to clay, slip is going to be a combination of some clay and water. So you can put some bits of dry clay or clay inside and then add some water. Now I noticed that I just did something not great. So it's overlapped and it's actually measured to not do that. So I'm going to start again. I think my templates, when I cut them, are off just a little bit. So it's not the original maker, it's me. So let me fix that. And same thing, want to make sure that we've got really nice seams inside. So I'm going to make sure that those are connected. And then I am going to run a coil down the side. You don't need a really thick coil. I just need a little bit of clay, kind of like if you were putting together a bathtub. You'd want that caulk to kind of fill in that gap between where the tile meets the tub. All right. So you can see a template makes things go rather quickly. So it's kind of fun to do that. And then you can spend your time on your design or making a bunch of these. I was really excited with the way that they came out. So I plan on making quite a few. Okay. So you have to trust me. The seams are good there. So now I'm going to use the piece that is going to be the actual hole inside. So as it's laid down, here's where we're at so far. I've got my sides done. And so now I want to put the hole in. And this is where, again, I admire folks that do the templates and they've already measured that out. So I should be able to place this together and put it over the hole and it should fit just fine. And it does. Now, as far as a technique or a trick there, what I can do is cut this on an angle on one side and then the other side where it fits just in and then that overlaps. Or you can just put it together knowing that you're going to have the extra clay. So I'm going to put just a little bit of water or slip there. And you don't want to distort it too much, but as you can see, I am distorting it a little bit. And if you take the time here to really clean up the joint on the inside and the outside, then that's less cleanup that you'll have to do later. So I've got a little bit of a decoration on the inside. So you're going to see that when the piece is done. And so I'm conscious of that because as you're slipping and scoring and putting it together, you're actually messing up that decoration. So I'm not worried about that. I'm going to come back over it in the end. But what I'm doing now is just making it consistent. When you're hand building, most of the time you're fixing what you've just distorted. And so I'm going back, see if we can get like a consistent shape here. All right. So how is the seam looking? I can still see it. So it's still got some work to do. I could do the same thing. I could put a coil on the inside and the outside. In this case, I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is it's going to go in the center and I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of water so that it adheres. Okay. And that is fitting perfectly. I'm not sure how that looks on camera, but it does fit really well. So now I'm going to come in and adhere the main piece to the centerpiece. Do the same with the seam on the inside. So again, if this is going to be functional, take the time to fix your seams and make sure everything is connected. You don't want to do all this work, glaze it, go through the 2 firings, and then it leak. That's a sad day when that happens. It does happen. And you build another one. Yeah, move on. All right, I'm feeling semi-confident with those seams there. All right, so I'm going to do the bottom. So that is this piece here and put my logo on the bottom. And I like the bumpy side out. So it's got some texture. And then same thing when you come in here, depending on how it fits, you may want to not slip and score. We do want to do that, but you may want to cut this at an angle. You may choose not to. So I'll show you what that looks like to not. So I'm just going to kind of squish that in there, get that together, and then fix my seams on the inside. It's a pretty important seam because this is on the bottom. So this is where the water's going to sit most of the time. So I will use a coil of clay on the inside. All right. So now what you want to do is take a quick look at the seams on the outside and let's get those together. Make sure it's overlapping and that there are no crack or holes or seams that were not put together. And we still have time to fix the seams on the outside as we move forward. But it can be helpful to do as much as possible while you're looking at it because we're human. We're going to miss things. So catch it while you can and you can double check it later. All right. So now we are cooking with gas. Almost there. Now, the next piece can be not difficult, but the most, trying piece. So I could just place it together, fit it on, and be good. And I want to put a face on mine. So if you're not going to put pressure on yours, then you can just put it on top. There's the top, the base. It's going to have enough. But because I want to put some pressure on this is going to reinforce what I'm working on. So I'm going to put it here at the bottom and the top. And now when I lay this on, a little bit of water, it's going to have a little bit more stability. All right. So I'm lining this all up. And actually, I'm going to have to bump this side out. Change gears. Wait a second. Okay. All right. Now I know some of you are much more detailed than I am, and you can see my flaws in my process. If I would have cut a little bit more particular and spent some of that time, then it would line up a little bit better. It's just not how I do things. Spend the time later cleaning it up. All right, so getting there. So now I need to really, 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 did I say really, make sure that this seam matches up, is connected. And I'm going to do this all the way around and then also in the center area where the hole is. But if you've been watching this video, templates are so cool because I'm almost done, right? Just besides my decoration. So in a really short time, you get this really fun hand-built face that people are going to just be in awe of, right? I mean, how do you get that hole in the center? How does that work? And you can tell them you got a template from the pottery wheel, or you can tell them that you just did it yourself. Yeah. All right. So when we get off camera, I'm going to spend a little more time there because I'm not sure if it's cathartic and calming to watch me try and get these seams together, or if you're like, come on, dude, move on. All right. So I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. Let's stand this guy. One thing I should have mentioned too, when you're building on something and you're slipping and scoring, it can have a tendency to stick. So it can be helpful to build this on like a piece of paper or something. Otherwise, it does distort a little bit when you pick it up. All right. So is it perfect? No, but are we getting there? Absolutely. So again, here's what we're going for. Here's where we're at. So now what the work would be is to clean up the seams. I'm going to hollow that hole out a little bit more. And you can do this a couple of ways. If you have a tool that you can kind of come in here, it does two things. It gives you that nice fun design inside, but it also helps you get that circle back that you kind of lost and distorted when you stood it up. But what I want to do now to complete this is really spend some time on those seams as much as possible. And then I wanted to get it back to the original shape that we had. So if we put the template over it, you can see it's distorted a little bit, it's changed. And so that's where I'm going to spend my time. But I want to appreciate you for being here today. I know I do a lot of videos with faces, so you can see what I did next is put the nose and the eyes, and there's going to be so many variations of that. But let me go ahead and close this video down now. Appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe, trying to grow this channel. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for supporting artists, and I hope you have a fantastic day.